Good morning, everybody. Teacher Katie here from the Walla Walla YMCA Child Development Department. This morning I have a wonderful fairy tale to read to you. It is one of my favorites. I loved it as a little girl. It is The Elves and the Shoemaker. So let's enjoy this book together. In an old and shabby shoe shop, there lived a cobbler, Stan, and his wife, Jan. So it's Stan and Jan. Though they were poor, they were very happy, for they loved to make shoes. Shoes for walking and shoes for jumping, shoes for skipping, and best of all, shoes for dancing. And you can see there's a picture here of someone dancing. So all the wonderful shoes, that's what made them happy. Every day, Stan and Jan worked hard making shoes for their little shop. And every evening they slipped on their favourite dancing shoes and waltzed the night away. The villagers loved to watch them dance, and before long, people young and old whirled and twirled through the door to join in. All summer long the shoemakers danced, sharing their joy with everyone around them. So look how happy everybody is, dancing and having fun. But soon the bitter winter came, and as the weeks passed, fewer and fewer customers stopped to buy shoes. Whatever will we do? Worried Stan. Soon we will have no money left and no more firewood. And of course, boys and girls, they need firewood to keep them warm, so they're getting concerned. It's winter, no one's coming to buy shoes, which means they have no money. The shop grew quieter and quieter. That night, Stan and Jan huddled by the tiny fire, their fingers too cold to sew and their feet too frozen to dance. Let's go to bed, Jan chattered. Perhaps we'll think of something in the morning. Oh, so look, they're all cold by the fire. They can't even think of making any shoes because they're too cold. But in the morning, they awoke to find the most magnificent pair of shoes. Leaping laces! Who made these? Marvelled Stan. Before they could start to wonder, the shop door opened and in marched their first customer they'd had in weeks. So let's look at those shoes. Look how fancy they are, boys and girls. Before they could even think any further, somebody came in the door. "Good day," cried the customer. "My name is Sir Flumby. I spied these splendid shoes in the window and I simply must have them. The shoes fit me perfectly." So he'd seen them as he was walking by and he thinks they're fabulous. Look, he's putting them on. So Sir Flumby paid Stan a handful of gold pieces and skipped away merrily in his new shoes. Delighted, Stan went to the market to buy some supper and firewood. And that night the shoemaker and his wife danced with joy once more. So they were given the money, look. Stan could buy firewood and his supper, which is food, his dinner. And then they were happy and they danced the night away. The next morning they found to their amazement 3 new pairs of shoes, even more stunning than the last. Stan and Joy could not believe their eyes. But just then, so can you see them? There's one pair. Here's another pair. Here's another pair. But just then, "Greetings, shoemakers. I am Sir Flipsy Flopsy, and I have heard tales of your marvellous shoes. Why, they are even more fabulous than I imagined," he bellowed. "I shall buy them all. 1 pair for me and the others for my horse Toby." So Sir Flipsy Flopsy filled the shoemaker's pockets with gold coins and galloped off Let's look closely, boys and girls. Do you see? So he's wearing one pair. Then the front pair is on the front of the shoes, front of the horse's feet. And the other pair, the third pair, is on the back. 1, 2, 3. From then on, there were shiny new shoes every morning. Soon the shop was warm and cosy and bustling with customers day after day. One day Jan said, "We still don't know who is helping us. I wish we could thank them." Then Stan had a wonderful idea. "Why don't we stay up and find out?" So they're going to stay up and find out who's been making all these fabulous shoes for them. They want to thank them. So that night, Jan and Stan hid behind the curtains. They waited and waited and waited. Oh, do you see them hiding? Until, as the clock struck midnight, 3 tiny elves slipped in through the keyhole and tiptoed across the room. So look, 1, 2, 3. The elves set to work with a stitch, stitch, stitch and a rap-a-tap-tap. And as they worked, they sang, "We love jumping, leaping, prancing. We were sad when you stopped dancing. So in we creep while you are dreaming, making new shoes, bright and gleaming." They're the ones who are making the shoes. All night the elves sewed until the sun began to rise. And then quietly, they popped back through the keyhole. Stan and Jan were so surprised by what they'd seen. "What delightful little elves," Stan whispered. "We must repay their kindness." "Let's make them their own little dancing shoes," said Jan, "and some dancing clothes too." So the next morning, that's just what they did. Jan knitted tiny sweaters using tiny pins, then sewed apple seeds for decoration. Stan crafted tiny shoes from dandelion leaves, then stitched them with daisy stem laces. And together they made little pointy hats finished with the tiniest pom-poms. Also, how nice they're making these clothes for the elves as a thank you. At midnight, Stan left the tiny parcel on the workbench just before the 3 little elves crept inside. It says, "For our very special helpers, may you dance the night away with love, Jan and Stan." When the elves saw their new clothes, they were overjoyed. They giggled, they wiggled and danced all night in the moonlight. But as the stars faded, the 3 tiny elves tiptoed away and vanished into the night. That was the last the shoemakers ever saw of the elves, but their kindness was never forgotten, and Stan and Jan danced every night with their friends, just in case the elves ever returned. And who knows, maybe one day they will. So the elves helped them through a hard time, and now it's keeping them going. Oh, have a quick peek at all these different shoes, boys and girls. These are ones that were in the story, and also different ones. Maybe you have a favourite one. Oh, they're so cool. I'm going to be reading lots of fairy tales next week and I can't wait. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.